There's just the email that says blame me. I'm not gonna touch that thing.
He'll own the deal.
Sometimes we get sucked into things that are against our nature.
We all have free will. And if you can't handle this, how will you handle the rest of our work?
So I'm going to start this episode with a little preface because we're both in new locations recording. And right now I don't have a lot of furniture in here, so it may be very echoey, and I apologize. And you are in a new living place as well.
Yeah.
So it may take us a while to figure it out.
Yeah, but we'll get there. I don't know. My problem is I have taken one trip to IKEA to get furniture, and I literally spent probably $600 there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I need to get a new couch. That's the last thing I really need, and then I'll be pretty good.
Once you get that last thing, though, then you're like, all right, now I can actually buy fun stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
And
yeah,
you know,
I'm looking forward to that.
You know what else is fun?
What?
Games.
Games.
You know what kind of games?
The kind of games you can't win.
Yeah, that's some Saw 6. Those are the games you can't win. But yeah, here is our Saw X review, which is going to be, I think, a bit more impromptu because we originally weren't going to do this. We weren't going to record this, but for some reason you became fascinated.
Yeah, after watching Saw 10, I was like, it was such a weird experience because like the first third of the movie, I was like, wow, I really like this. And then the second third, I was like, oh, okay, well, I think it's okay now. And then the last third of it was like, this is terrible. And then the very end like made me laugh like so hard in the theater that like I wanted to watch it again for some reason.
Yeah, it was funny because when like literally right when like the post-credit scenes ended, you were like, this sucks. And then when we were on our way back to like the house, we were talking about it and you were like, you know, there was some stuff. And then like we got back to the house and you're like, I want to watch it again. Yeah, so I thought that was very funny. John Kramer got into your mind a little bit.
He did. He really did. And it was, I don't know, the after credit scene was hilarious to me. The very ending. I want to talk about the very ending so bad because it's so fucking hilarious.
Before we get into spoilers, I'll add for those who have been living under a rock and has not seen the Saw 10 trailer, because it seems like it's been out for a long time. Seeing that man with the eyeballs that form an X. But essentially, the plot is John Kramer is back because this one takes place in between Saw 1, or I guess you could say it's somewhere even in between 3. And basically, John Kramer, he's basically given sort of his expiration date on his tumor. And he doesn't have long to live, and he kind of makes, I would say, like a kind of a rash decision to go with this experimental treatment, which is down in Mexico, and he goes and gets screwed over, and they actually scammed him. So John Kramer starts a new game to get revenge, and that's
the Nigerian prince scammed him.
Yeah, they Nigerian prince scammed him.
I'm just joking. I only say that because that happened to my grandma.
Contacted me asking for a $1,000 donation. I did. And it turned out you were a middle-aged Indian man in a call center. Now I'm calling you here to play a game. Yeah. Yesterday all I was doing was coming up with like Saw type scenarios.
Oh my God.
We were talking about if Jigsaw, like John Kramer, lived to like 2021, and he like kidnapped like some like Republican like governor or something. Like you got like Ted Cruz.
Oh,
and he's like,
okay.
He's like, you speak out against the LGBT community and you say trans people don't have rights. Yet your search history on Pornhub says otherwise. What is a T-girl, Mr. Cruz?
Wasn't it actually, who was it that actually got caught with that? Was it Alex Jones?
I think it was Alex Jones. Ted Cruz liked or retweeted incest porn.
Oh, that's what Ted's was, yeah.
Yeah, I think Alex Jones, it was T-girl stuff. He liked
so
a tweet.
Funny. No, it was even worse than that. It was
he shared it?
He was live on his show. And for some reason the camera was on his phone. He was like showing something on his phone.
Oh no, and he had the tab open.
He had, well, like old people that like never close their tabs.
Yeah, so it's like a bunch of
Yeah, it said like 100 tabs open, and he like was switching between tabs, and one of the tabs, the title on the webpage you could see was like T-girl, like whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ted Cruz's reason for Jigsaw punishing him could be, do you remember when that whole power outage was happening?
Oh,
in
and
Texas?
he left to like what was it, Cancun?
Yeah, he like went on like a vacation with his family.
Yeah,
and like he like got his family out of there, and then like everybody was like up in arms about it. Though I just feel like that would be his plane ride back would be Jigsaw capturing him.
Yeah,
and he'd wake up in a dirty warehouse somewhere.
He would be the Saw. Oh, fuck, is that 5? The trap where there's like 2 ice blocks and like the one below him is like thawing, and like if the timer goes off, like the 2 ice blocks fall and like smash his head.
That was a good trap. Well, I remember that one. Was that from 7?
No, that's 5.
Oh, that's 5. Okay.
Because that's the one that's like the post Hoffman reveal.
Okay.
Or maybe that's 4 actually. I think it's 4. So all right, I need to also give context as we're in the presence of a Saw expert here, a Sawspert, because within, I would say, the last 30 days, I watched all 9 movies leading up to this. And I had only maybe seen the first 2, and then the other ones I just kind of have seen scenes from, like when it's on TV. So I watched literally, like, I think I did literally 4, 5, and 6, like day after day. Like one night 4, one night 5, one night 6. So those kind of all blur together for me.
Wow.
Especially because those are the ones that I feel like they struggle with the most. Because they killed, well, I mean, I'm not spoiling the new Saw, but everyone knows they kill Tobin Bell's character, John Kramer, in 3, and they're just desperately grasping at straws to come up with some interesting story in those. But I will say that X did feel like in the same 1, 2, and 3 range. They went back to like the ADHD Monster Energy editing, you know?
Yeah, it was peppered in. It wasn't. I feel like it wasn't as prevalent.
Once the game started, that's when it really kicked in.
Yeah,
which is exactly when it's needed.
The first third of the movie does not feel like a Saw movie.
No, there's a lot of setup.
Yeah, it's like all character work and like people talking.
Mm-hmm.
There's like one scene where it's not even a real trap
and that's only because there's a rule that every Saw movie opens with a trap.
Yeah, I figured that was a rule.
Yeah. Every Saw movie opens with a trap and it ends with a door closing. Those are the rules. There is, I mean, we've seen every Halloween, we've seen every Texas Chainsaw, and we've learned that franchises will never deviate from certain things that made the original good. Especially like we talked in Texas Chainsaw, everyone has to have a dinner scene, even though it like contextually won't make sense.
Yeah. Another thing we noticed too, I think, was in every movie, a woman has to jump out of a window.
Yes. Yeah. No matter what the situation is, a woman needs to jump out of a window. And it's like stuff like that I feel like it can do without, but Saw has a lot of like minor things, like like in Texas Chainsaw, they always do like the old camera, like the like that.
Yeah.
And like Saw will do that too. Like they always have the same score. Just minor things like the door. It always ends with like a door closing. There's like little small things. But this one is definitely it's not fan servicey. Because like. 4, 5, 6, and 7, it almost feels like whenever they do a flashback and John Kramer shows up, you're supposed to go like, yeah, like you're supposed to clap.
Yeah.
But this one was like they just gave you John Kramer, and like it's the way this one is set apart from the others is it follows John Kramer throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. That hasn't really happened before. But when I think about it, all the Saw movies I've seen are like. Yeah, it's John Kramer is like a villain in them, basically.
Yeah, because you're following either the police force or the victims, or both at the same time.
Yeah,
and because you're never really supposed to know what's up like Jigsaw's sleeve, especially after the first movie, because you didn't even know who the killer was until like the very end.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I think you just see the puppet for most of it, right?
Yeah. The first Saw, that twist I think is one of the best horror twists in like any movie.
Well, where he's revealed that he was the guy laying down the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember the context of it or why that is cool, but that is an interesting twist.
Yeah, because you don't know who the killer is, because the one guy you think it is actually a part of the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, before we get into our spoilers for those that are planning on seeing it and don't want spoilers, I liked it a lot. I'm not gonna lie that there are a lot of faults and I have a lot of gripes with it, but it is fresh enough for the franchise where I can kind of overlook it. And especially, I think the stuff we kind of have gripes with is nothing compared to the plot holes in all of the other films.
Oh my god, yeah.
As I remember trying to explain to you and our friend Patrick all this stuff going into the movie, and you guys were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's impossible for me to explain a Saw movie without looking like Charlie Kelly from It's Always Sunny with like the mail episode where he just has like all like the pins in the board.
Yeah.
With the string. It's impossible.
Yeah. We've said that about other horror franchises we've done, but this is actually true for this one. That analogy with Charlie Kelly. I guess it's like
I think Saw is the most confusing timeline to explain. I think it's more confusing than Halloween.
Yeah, because it's so convoluted.
And the thing is, we always say that like there's good horror franchises that they all stay in the same timeline, like Friday the 13th, Hellraiser's like that. Freddy kind of does it, but they did a few remakes. But they all stay on the same timeline. But the thing with Saw is none of the movies are in order. Like, you cannot watch Saw 1 through 10, and it's not, like, chronologically in order. Yet, you can't, like, I saw a list of, like, the correct order to watch Saw, and it was, like, start with a Jigsaw, and then go to Saw. Then like, and it like jumped all over the place. But I was even thinking like, no, because then that ruins some of the twists for you in the later movies.
Oh, yeah. So you kind of have to watch it chronologically, even though it's like weird and jumps all over the place.
Yes, you have to watch it chronologically, even though the movies are not set in chronological order. But I would say with X, you are fine to watch this one if you've only seen the first two.
No, I would actually say that, yeah, you can definitely watch this one. This one was really self-contained.
Yes. There was no flashbacks.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Because, like, I'm a guy who hasn't seen a Saw movie in many years. And, like, especially not the first two. I don't think I've ever seen the second one.
The second one's good.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. But yeah, I was not lost at all watching it. I think for me, my opinion really is just that this was a movie. It's the most frustrating kind of movie for me because I see the potential.
Yep.
And I thought they could have done something much more subversive and interesting with it than what they did. And I thought in the first third they were actually doing what I was thinking.
Right.
And like, because the first third of it I really, really liked. I was like, wow, I'm gonna come out of, I was literally thinking watching the first third, like, wow, I'm gonna love this movie when I come out of this.
There's a lot of character work they build up, which is like the most character you get from John Kramer. In that one, like probably the first 30 minutes, you get more character than they've shown in the entire 9 movies before that.
Yeah, exactly.
They actually flesh out his motives and stuff.
And I really feel like I really like Tobin Bell's performance.
Oh, Tobin Bell's amazing.
I feel like that's never been like hyped up about him, because his voice, the Jigsaw voice is iconic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's so memeable, and because it's so good and it's so like creepy sounding. And then I was thinking there's a lot of scenes early on where you're just going off of his facial expressions. I was thinking like when he first goes into the underground cancer clinic, and he's just like walking around and meeting everybody. At any point of that, you know exactly what he's thinking without him even really saying anything.
Right.
And how he kind of is like so analytical of everyone, and like, his performance is great. And I was thinking, wow, it's a shame he's not in more things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he does a lot of just like horror movies, like low budget stuff.
Yeah, I was like, wow, you could give this guy. I think what I saw him in before was the Creep Show on Shudder.
Yeah.
Him and Giancarlo Esposito were like playing like 2 like old men in an episode of that. It was so weird, but it was pretty good. But yeah, I thought the movie was okay.
Okay.
I thought it could have been a lot better. By the end of it, I was just, when the twists were happening, I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
It was just so stupid, and I feel like it was tone deaf and like kind of like poorly aged. It was like, we'll get into more of why, but
so
spoilers.
My big gripe with it, because you're coming at it from an angle that hasn't seen any of the movies.
Yeah.
I'm coming at from I've unfortunately seen all the movies. and let me preface this. I think these movies rule. Like, I am going to have a very biased opinion, because I recognize a lot of these movies are bad, but they are so much fun that I can overlook a lot of the bad. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like, okay. Like, I will tell you, like, once you get to Saw, like, 5, 6, and 7, especially 7, they're not good movies. I would say that right now. The script doesn't make sense. None of the character motives make sense. The twists don't make sense. But the way they're presented and, like, the performances and how serious it takes itself rules.
Yeah.
That's my kind of take on Saw. So the only one I say is actually bad that I did not enjoy is Jigsaw. That's the only one I didn't enjoy. I even kind of enjoyed the Chris Rock one.
Really?
Well, it's one of those things where it's a little bit fresh with the Saw. It tries to do something, but then it reverts back to just normal Saw bullshit.
Okay.
So this one, for me, was a breath of fresh air. But the main sort of flaw with it, as someone who has seen them all, because this takes place somewhere in between 1 and 3, is we know the stakes. We know the story. So we know when John Kramer's in danger in this one, he's not really, you know? Like, yeah. We know he has a plan. We just don't know what it is yet. Mm-hmm. So there's like a moment when you're like, oh no, the plan's going to go wrong. But then you're like, wait, no, because I know how the Saw ends, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's really no stakes for him and Amanda. So I think it would have done well to introduce, I mean, I guess they kind of did at the end, like another character that you kind of latch onto. Because some of
the kid?
Yeah, they introduced the boy, but that's just like, you know, that's just, he's a kid. That's kind of cheap. Yeah. It's a low blow in writing.
You know, I knew that they were not going to kill him just because he was a child.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Because if a kid died, then like John Kramer would probably be even more evil. So I would say for this movie, before we get into spoilers, if you have seen the Saws and you're a fan of Saw, I would say you are probably going to like it a bit more than someone who hasn't. Not saying that you can't enjoy it without seeing the Saws, but I think you're just going to get something a bit more out of it. Like when Amanda shows up, I was like, okay, that's rules, you know? There's a bit of fan service, and I know it's stupid. Like there's a cameo in this, in a minor one, and I lost my shit and it's so lame, but it rules. I don't know.
What, the after credits thing?
The after credits, and when like John calls him.
You knew he was. You knew.
Yeah, I knew who he was talking to, and I was like, "Fuck
Okay.
yeah!"
I thought he was talking to Amanda. I was like, "Is Amanda a detective?"
No,
I couldn't remember.
No, she's just a crackhead.
Okay.
Because some lore to you, because they introduced that like more into like Saw 2 and 3 is basically, John Kramer abducted her and put her in the trap because she was like a drug addict who doesn't. That was when he's like, his actual motives is he only like he tests people who don't appreciate life, you know. Because he has a limited amount of time to live, and he realized, oh, there's so many people wasting their life. I'm going to teach them a lesson. So she actually survives, and he's like, hey, you know, come under me, and he gets her clean, basically.
Yeah.
Which is actually what a lot of cults do, is they specifically target homeless and drug addicts and alcoholics, and they help them kick the habit, so they're basically like indebted to them.
Oh, that's very
like this,
similar to their vibe in the movie.
Like, this person can do no wrong because they cleaned me of this like burden that is ruining my life.
Yeah.
So Amanda has like this weird fatherly connection, and you get into that in 3. You kind of see she's not. They make her a lot less crazy in this one, but in 3 she's like unhinged.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that Amanda seems like. I remember her from the other movies as being like, like kind of just insane. She's a
little bloodthirsty.
Yeah, there's like not much character there other than she's just a crazy lady.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, they seem to flesh her out a lot more.
Yeah, because
I appreciated that.
In this one, she's still learning. So
okay.
Because there's like parts where she's like, I'm not ready to do this without you, and he's like, you can do this, Amanda. You know, she's kind of knows that her days of training are numbered, so I think she's taking it more serious.
Yeah. That was a very touching scene, by the way.
There's a lot of it's very weirdly heartwarming, some of the stuff in this movie. And then you remember they're serial killers.
Yeah, no, that was the weird part, because that, like, and Tobin Bell's performance, again, is really good in that scene, and he seems to genuinely start crying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, like, to me, I was just thinking, like, that was, like, him, the script was aping like basically their dynamic, where like Tobin Bell is like, I think he literally says in that scene, like, I'm going to die one day, like, you have to take over.
He's like, you have to accept it.
Yeah, and that's like true of the real life with the franchise. Like, he's not always going to be here for it. Mm-hmm. Someone young like Amanda, even though she is dead, but they can come up with whatever bullshit. Well,
they would just set another movie in between. I just think if they do a sequel, it's just going to be it after this movie, but before 3.
Yeah. Yeah. That I could definitely see that. Because 3 is when they both die, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 is when they kill off like all the characters, and then they're like, shit, we have to make 4. What do we do?
When does Amanda become his apprentice? In like 2?
So she's technically in 1, but you don't know it until 2.
Oh, okay. So this is like kind of filling in this is like 10 is like showing her beginning as his apprentice.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's clear they've been doing it for a while, because she can just fly to Mexico and take out like 4 people.
Yeah, like what the hell? I was thinking about that. Some of the globe trotting that happens is like unrealistic, but I was like,
no, yeah. Hey, you're talking about Saw. Timeline does not matter.
Because like because I was thinking during this is so stupid. This is so minute. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to say it anyway. The one leader of the cancer scam people, she was like in her mansion. Was she in Mexico? Like her
I
mansion?
guess she lives in Mexico.
Oh, okay. So Amanda just went around that area and just got all those people.
So Yeah, because remember John was like staring at like the mountain because he remembered seeing like the radio tower, and he used his civil engineering to triangulate the location from where he is.
Oh, is that what he was doing? I was so confused.
That's how he was able to find the place, because remember they blindfolded him?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then he just, I guess Hoffman just was able to run the, like, get her address and stuff.
Yeah. Do you know what I thought he was doing there? I thought because he had experienced the kindness of other people and they like cured him, that he was like going to make something that would like improve the area that.
Oh, yeah.
Like something with the radio tower. I don't know. But that's literally just him triangulating the location of these people.
Yeah. Well, he was doing it to do something nice.
To give them a alcoholic beverage. Because
he wanted to give the girl who was like the like caretaker a nice tequila. Okay. But now let's get into spoilers, because we do kind of want to.
Did you think that was kind of
that.
creepy? Sorry, I don't mean to sideline again.
No, it's creepy. It's weird.
I was like, why are you giving? Because like my impression of that Gabriella, he was going to give it to Gabriella, right?
Yeah.
It was like she seemed like she was like 18.
Yeah. Well, so John Kramer's like was able to pull a wife that's like 30 years younger than him.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything of his wife. I have no idea she was in it at all.
So I don't know where, because they were like basically here's spark notes of the wife subplot, which they don't introduce until like 4, is basically John, she's pregnant. They're about to start their life together, even though he's like a 70-year-old man. And she works at a hospital that helps treats like drug addicts. That's where he met Amanda. And one day, one of them went to rob the place for the drugs. And when he was on his way out, he slammed the door, which hit her stomach, and she had a miscarriage.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah. And John felt guilty because he was like in the parking lot waiting for her to like basically end her shift. And he was like, oh, I could have, went in there, like, because the guy went up to him and talked to him. He's like, I could have stopped him, even though he couldn't have known.
Yeah.
So that's when he started to do the whole like, then this is going to open another can of worms of John Kramer's motives. But this is when they went more with John Kramer is a vigilante.
Oh, okay.
Rather than someone who's trying to make people appreciate their life. So he starts turning into Jigsaw. She notices he's more distant. He spends more time in his weird, place, his weird workshop, designing these traps. And she goes in there and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he goes on like this thing, and she's like, okay, you're kind of weird. And then like it tells like they're in like the midst of a divorce.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like, the story of like, oh, like they couldn't handle like the loss of a child, and they kind of, that ruined their relationship. But instead he just became like autistic and focused on killing people.
It's very healthy way to cope with that.
Yeah, it's very healthy. So we need to talk about John Kramer's character, and this is when we're going to get into spoilers here. So go see it. It's not bad.
Yeah, I'm like a person who hates the Saw movies, or almost hates them.
Yeah. And
like, because I just find them to be so cynical, and they're cynical without a real point. And they're not helpful. They don't really say anything about humanity. They're just like misery and torture porn, basically. That was the era of like early 2000s horror was very dark. It was very like bleak. There was never happy endings. Yeah. But and it's Saw is like the poster child of like 2000s horror. I don't have a problem with non-happy endings. I don't have an issue with that. Like, one of my favorite movies is The Fly. Yeah. And that is a tragic love story, really, at the heart of it. It's a tragic tale. Yeah, but it has something to say. I don't really know what any Saw movie has if any Saw movie has a message of any kind.
I would say after 3, you'll lose that message.
Well, it's like even the first ones, it's just like, okay, yes, other people don't get to live as long as you, so you need to use every day like it's your last. That's basically the meaning of Saw.
YOLO.
But that is like such a basic...
Yeah.
There's nothing really... I'm not learning anything from that. I don't know. So, but I'm like one of those kind of people who just hate Saw as a whole, and I thought this movie was okay. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's saying something. It's much better than the other ones, I think.
And me, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I watched like 7 dog shit movies, and I think they rule. So I liked this one.
Do you know what I found out?
Huh.
The same guy who directs 10 is the same guy who directed 6 and 7.
Yeah, that's not surprising. That guy did a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
I guess. So the person who does the Saw score beat, was it John Williams who does the score for all the Star Wars?
Yeah.
So he held the record for doing this most score in a film franchise. And now this guy who did, I forgot his name, who does the score for Saw beat him because he's done all 10 movies.
Damn, I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Saw is setting records.
That is like, that's kind of really cool, actually, because most horror franchises have no connectivity between all of them. And like Saw really does. The other one that I can think of is Child's Play, because most of those are written by the same dude and they all take place in the same continuity.
Yeah, it's like Evil Dead 2. That's a big one.
Yeah, Evil Dead, yeah, for sure.
Evil Dead is the best example of keeping the same people on board to ensure good quality.
Yeah, right? You don't get that very often. It's like just a few examples.
Yeah, that's literally only 2 we can think of.
Yeah, literally.
But
yeah,
right.
I like this movie. I liked it.
So go see it. Now it's spoiler time.
Spoiler time.
I think our main gripe, and we both agree, and while I like this movie, this is like, I think where the movie is problematic, is that they really make John Kramer to be the hero. This movie is more of a revenge movie than like a Saw movie. It's like a revenge thriller.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I thought, because I'll connect this to what I was saying earlier, where I thought it was going somewhere different. Mm-hmm. But like, because we've talked about this before we recorded a little bit, but like the idea of a, like kind of like an edgy person who does like an anti-hero, like the idea of the anti-hero, like someone who is like something bad has happened to them, and so then their motivations, that fuels their motivations and fuels their actions to do bad things, but they think it's for like a good cause. And I was thinking, I'm sure you have examples too, but people like the Joker, we both mentioned.
Yeah, Joker's the big one. I was going to say Walter White, who are like Walter, he's doing things, he's doing everything he does. He kills people, he makes drugs that end up killing people probably. Yeah. He does it all to get money for his family. So in the end, he sees it as worth it. And people like latch onto that concept. Like I remember thinking, full disclosure, when I watched Breaking Bad for the first time, I was like, oh man, Walt is so badass. Yeah, I was the same way. I was like, I'm Team Walt.
Yeah, so it's like, I feel like it's just something, being a stupid adolescent who like doesn't really know anything about the world, you end up kind of thinking that. And like I think we both think that John Kramer is like meant to be that kind of character.
Yes.
Where like he does horrible things, but something really horrible happened to him, so it's okay. When really he's just like a crazy psycho.
He's a serial killer.
Yeah, literally. He kills people.
He's just trying to justify his actions.
Yes.
I think one good example, and I think this also comes to the type of mediums, is you and me, we watch a lot of movies, but I think normal audiences don't want to watch a movie of someone they don't like, or someone they can't feel for. And I think a good example, and this came out around early 2000s, I think like actually 2000, is V for Vendetta. I don't know if you've ever read the graphic novel, have you?
Yeah, it's Alan Moore. Yeah, I love Alan Moore.
So in the graphic novel, V is a terrorist, straight up. Like, he is not a hero.
Yeah.
But the movie plays it like he's the hero. He's freeing these people. The ends justify the means. And the biggest example is, remember, it's very early on in the film when he hijacks like the news station and like plants a bomb.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But he gives everyone time to evacuate.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, he doesn't. He just blows it the fuck up and kills probably hundreds of people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. As a kind of tangent, but that is a frequent thing in Alan Moore's work.
Yes.
Alan Moore wrote Watchmen as well.
Yeah.
And Zack Snyder took and adapted that into a film. And one of the most popular characters from that graphic novel, Rorschach, is... Zack Snyder doesn't understand anything about anything, so it's no surprise he made Rorschach into like this hero, this weird hero. When really Rorschach is like a loser who like eats beans out of cans all day, and he like, so that happens so frequently in that kind of media. But yeah, I agree. V for Vendetta is a perfect example of that, where it's like it can be so easily misinterpreted by people and like kind of hijacked.
And I think for a movie, how like people aren't, normal general audiences that we want to sell these tickets to aren't going to want to watch a movie about a terrorist. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for people who are more well versed, they're like, oh, this is kind of like a character study of this type of person. I mean, think like Taxi Driver. Stuff like that. And I don't know if maybe, the original script for things like that are more showing these people as antagonists that we're just following. But then, the studio execs and the shareholders get in. They're like, oh, no one's going to want to see this. This is too dark. Maybe they change it. But because Jigsaw in the first two movies, he's a straight up serial killer. And one thing I found very funny is like Jigsaw in this one, there is a child that he kind of forms a connection to that it gets almost killed. And he's very upset about that. In Saw 1, he got a guy to shoot a kid.
Wait, really?
That was Dr. Gordon's thing. Because if Dr. Gordon didn't get out of the trap, his family, his wife and kid would die. And that's what Zepp was there to do. At the end of the timer, he had to shoot the wife and kid. In the end, it doesn't happen. But he was perfectly morally okay with killing a child.
And in this, he's like morally grandstanding about
yes. So his sort of moral code doesn't line up. And once you get past 3, John Kramer goes from not testing people to just, I'm taking justice into my own hands and I'm killing bad people. That's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of gets obscured. But this one, I feel like they kind of go back to he's like a good guy and he wants to serve justice while trying to do sort of his cancer morals. I don't know.
Yeah.
The character of Jigsaw is all over the place, but this one contradicts a lot. Because, again, it doesn't matter what your motives are. It doesn't matter how nice you are. You're a killer. You're killing people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to feel any empathy towards you.
Right. And if you kill people, you're just a loser. It doesn't matter what the reason is. It's just,
you're no better than those people that scammed you.
Right. And we talked about this before, but like just imagine the good that Jigsaw, like when you think of people in real life when they're like on their deathbed, like really big, great people like that, like they do things that are like out of just the kindness of their heart. They donate their money. They make something that's going to change a small part of the world. They don't like, it's like the same like with Rorschach or Joker where like, it's just like, something bad happens to them, then they check out of society. Yeah. Just like John Kramer. He's like, oh my God, I've lost the rest of my life. I have cancer. I can't live the rest of my life. So now I hate the world and I want everyone to like go through the same misery that I am going through. This is basically what he's doing. He can dress it up in all the language he wants, where he's like, oh, I'm just trying to make people realize like they're, you know, that life is precious. They need to like cherish every moment that they have and not waste it. But like, it is just so it's just so like any way you look at it, he's just such an unlikable guy.
Yeah.
So and my issue is I agree with the fact that most modern audiences don't want to watch someone that's like really unlikable. But I think even in those situations, even in movies where there's someone really unlikable as the main thrust, you still have people that are relatable, even tertiary side characters. Like Natalie Portman's character, I don't remember her name. She is like, she's basically the viewer's way into the story and into V and like what everything that he is, even in the graphic novel. So you could have V be this unlikable guy, which is why the graphic novel works so well, because you still have Natalie Portman's character, I don't remember her name, but to relate to, and she's very human in the way she acts. So and I think Saw doesn't have that.
No,
ever.
They've tried. Believe me,
they've tried.
They tried. The problem is when you have such a force like Tobin Bell, you need someone to match that.
Yeah.
And getting a high-profile actor for Saw 11 is going to be hard. Even though they got Samuel Jackson in 9 in Spiral.
He was like in one scene, wasn't he?
He was in a few.
Oh, okay.
But he played an integral part.
Okay, gotcha. Was he like I always imagine him as like the grumpy cop boss to Chris Rock's character.
He was Chris Rock's dad, who was the retired police chief.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And he is like a grumpy old man. But so yeah, and there's even a scene when like he's going through the treatment and the doctor asks him like, oh, what do you do for a living? And he's like, oh, I'm retired, but I have hobbies. And she's like, what are your hobbies? And he's like, I make people appreciate their life. And then she's like, oh, so you're like a self-help coach? And he's like, something like that.
yeah, right. That felt so weird. That felt like we were supposed to like be laughing with him.
Yeah, it's very funny. And this is something that I kind of do enjoy, even though it is kind of like a problem, is seeing John Kramer just interact in normal society.
Yeah.
Because it's like seeing people like interact with him, not knowing that he's like this horrific serial killer. And especially in the Saw universe, he's like well known. They don't know who he is at this point. It's not revealed until later. But like the fact that there is a Jigsaw killer on the loose, everyone knows about. So sometimes people wake up in these traps and they see the little Billy the Clown and they're like, fuck. Because they know.
Yeah.
Especially like, you know, they're like, oh, you just pissed off John Kramer, the Jigsaw killer.
That was, we've talked about this before, but it's like an observation we made where like, for some reason in this film, John is like showing his like real face and identity to like everyone.
It doesn't. So I guess one thing that you can make up your own way to convince yourself that John Kramer is the hero is by saying, oh, if they win, he lets them out, right? Yeah. And that's true. He's done it many times, but he never shows his face because that's why that's the Billy the Puppet character, conceals his face. So no, even if you survive, you can't, go to the police or anything because you have nothing to go on. And usually he wants them to go to the police because he gets them involved. I don't know. It's dumb Saw bullshit. But this one, they can see his face. They know who he is. Yet when they survive, he's like, take her to the hospital. But it's like, but they know who you are.
Yeah.
My only logic is, one, they couldn't figure out a way due to the location it's set in to allow him to set up an intricate game like that. 2, they wanted to make it feel more personal. And 3, and this is a very rough stretch, is saying since these people are already in this like multi-million-dollar crime group, that they cannot go to the police because they would also be arrested. But I feel like Scamming people, the police would probably give you some immunity by turning in the Jigsaw killer. Who's like internationally known, I guess.
Right, because they could just go to the police and just say, "Hey, I got captured by Jigsaw. I have no idea why."
Yeah, and he's John Kramer and Amanda Young, and they were in this location, and John Kramer is already famously known because he's a leading architect.
Right. It's like, why wouldn't they go to the police? There's no reason why they wouldn't if they got out. Like, It's just like really weird and stupid. I agree. I think they wanted like him to be in more of the movie,
and that's fine.
Yeah, you just have to have a good reason for why that's happening, Mm-hmm. And they don't really. So that's our main issue with it.
Yeah, this definitely just feels like they wanted to hang around the John Kramer character, not Jigsaw.
Yeah, definitely. And the puppet is in literally one scene.
Yeah, they legally have to have that. That's probably in a contract.
It probably is.
Because they don't have a Saw movie if they're not marketing it with that puppet, which I don't know if you've seen their marketing for this is incredible.
Oh, yeah, I saw that Nicole Kidman parody.
Yeah, they also did the puppet reads letterbox reviews.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They did like him leaving like Annabelle's house. So they've been on top of it with the marketing.
Was him reading letterbox reviews actually Tobin Bell doing it?
No, it was someone else.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I probably could have done a better Jigsaw voice than him. But one thing that they didn't really get into, which is something that I really like, and I was kind of disappointed, is the same reason I liked the new Batman movie, because they call out like Bruce Wayne for being like a weirdo loser. Yeah. Like what you're doing is not healthy. And they kind of call John Kramer out in this one. The lady's like, yeah, we scammed you, but what the fuck are you doing? You're not any at higher ground. You're a serial killer.
Yeah, I don't know. I that was like a very feeble attempt to inject that kind of criticism in.
But there was also like the one where she's like, the great John Kramer fell for our trap. I would really have liked to have like John Kramer sort of realize that, like, oh shit, like I'm an asshole too. But then sort of like most serial killers be like, no, it's them. They're the problem.
Right. Yeah.
But we don't get that. The movie still makes him to have the moral high ground, when really he's a dumbass that fell for a scam. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like, and he's killing people. So yeah, and like the fact that some of like the helpers that he was killing seemed like they were just like one was a prostitute, one was like a drug addict. So I don't think they were masterminds behind anything. They were just getting a paycheck,
Yeah, and it's like that's the thing. I think Amanda even says this at some point during the movie, which I liked. That I swear to God, there was an earlier version of the script that was much better, because the framework of a really good movie is there.
It's all there.
Because like Amanda says something like, hey, she's trying to convince him to like let the girl Gabriella go because she is feeling sympathy for her, and he's like, people can make mistakes sometimes. Everybody does that. Like everyone has a momentary lapse of judgment. Like, but Jigsaw just like completely shuts that down immediately.
He's like, nope, she made her mistake. Now she has to test herself.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And it was like that. I feel like I just wanted the movie to be more like showing him as an asshole, and it was for a while. I feel like the middle third was kind of like that, but then the last third, the whole thing where he gets put in a trap is just so stupid.
I still cannot believe the ending of how they ended it.
Oh my God, it was like a
it's so
the ending
funny.
of a rom-com.
Yeah, and I love it. I think it rules. I know it's bad, but I think it rules.
I was like laughing so hard. You were there. I mean, I was
laughing as well because I was just in disbelief.
Yeah. It literally like it's like them like walking out, Amanda,
like a family,
and, like, the kid. Yeah, like they're like about to start a family.
It ends like an action movie where the main character has their love interest, they survived, and they've adopted some kid that went along their journey that doesn't have parents, and they're walking out into the sunset because it's all over and the new life is ahead of them. Yet we know they're just going to go to America and kill cops.
Yeah, right.
But one thing I noticed is that all the Saws end with a door closing, but this one ended with a door opening.
What does that mean?
It just basically what it means is that the first movie, it ended with him closing the door, and they were like, fuck, that was cool. So let's make every movie end with a door closing. And now they're like, you know what? It's a new chapter in the Saw. So what if we open the door?
Whoa.
I assume, I don't know. I assume this will make money. I don't know what the budget is. I assumed it's relatively low budget, like all the Saws.
Yeah. The article I saw today was showing that Paw Patrol was actually beating.
Well, yeah, because it's a kids movie.
Yeah.
Even though there were children in our screening, which should have not been there.
There were? Oh,
yeah, there was a family all the way on our left. They brought the kids had to be 7 or 8.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't know if you heard her. She's like, that's disgusting. This is disgusting.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
No, I did not hear her.
Yeah. She got to watch a woman suck her own bone marrow out of her leg.
Oh, God.
Well, we got to talk about the traps. We've been dogging on it for a bit, but we got to talk about the traps were decent.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
They were, you know what? It shows how intuitive and inventive John Kramer is, you know? He only had a couple days, maybe hours. We don't know. Yeah. Timelines don't matter in Saw to come up with some of the stuff. And it all kind of used the medical equipment they faked on him.
Oh, yeah. That was cool. I liked that.
Like the radiation machine just turning on the microwave setting.
Yeah. They all had something to do with his surgery he allegedly went through. That was cool.
Her sucking out the bone marrow. The guy had to take out his own parts of his own brain to free himself.
Oh God, yeah. I was like, damn, why are you doing that to the anesthesiologist? He had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. You know what? They actually use a same line that I forgot. It might have been 3. It was where he actually jigs the little puppet comes out and there's a medical tray, and he's like, on the tray is anesthesia or whatever. It's anesthesia, right?
Yeah.
He's like, on the tray is anesthesia. It will numb the pain, but you will want to be aware and focused. So, and they used some line like that, and they used that in this one too when the puppet came out. For that guy, because he could have put the numbing in his head, but then you can't really, I guess, feel what you're doing.
I think he was mirroring the language he used when he was talking about, because they were prepping him for the surgery.
Yeah, because they told him you have to be awake for a part of it.
Yeah, he was he was saying something like, "Oh, you can live without a certain part of your brain; it'll be okay." And then he was saying that exact same thing to him in almost a mocking way later in the movie when he was forcing him to do it to himself.
Yeah. But that line is straight out from one of the previous ones.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
okay.
He says that exact thing. Because in 3, they actually do open brain surgery on him.
Yeah. That's how he dies. Or he dies during that, right?
Well, he only had a couple days to live, so he kidnaps a doctor.
Oh.
The third one, the twist is hype as fuck in the third one. I love that one. That movie, the twist in the end will all the puzzle pieces connect at once, and there's so many characters at play that are now all related that whatever gripes you have with the movie just go out the window because you're okay, this was cool.
Oh my God.
But now I've convinced you to watch maybe some of the other ones.
I will. I have to think about it.
They are funnier.
Are they funnier? Okay,
they're funnier. The key. Because spoiler for people, sort of the Saw heads out there, Hoffman's back. Whoa. For the end credit sequence.
That was the most hilarious scene in the movie. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's the trap they put on the guy, because there was another guy that was in the scam that basically they're oh, don't worry, he didn't get away. That was the end credit thing. Mm-hmm. it was just a contraption that went on his stomach that is supposed to scratch him with razor blades? I'm not sure what the game was.
Yeah, I know. That's what we were laughing because he had his feet tied up and his hands tied up into the air.
Yeah.
So it was like he literally could not do anything. So,
yeah. I think it was just
the game. Sorry.
Kramer was like, "Oh, like Hoffman, like, can you get this guy? I'm gonna let you set up the trap. You know, this is a test for you to see how good of an apprentice you are."
Yeah.
And then when John got it there, he's like, "This is it."
Yeah. He's like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah. He's like, what? It just kind of scratches his tummy.
That just immediately killed him, dude. It's
how did you
gain? You realize, right?
You just put a hole through his entire stomach. This is a test. That actually fits the Hoffman character as well.
I know, it's like it is really, I guess it does, like, in retrospect, but it is really funny to imagine like their conversation afterwards if it like wasn't planned. When like John is like, "Dude, what was that? I told him it was a game and it's not a game. It just kills him immediately, dude."
You just killed him.
Yeah, and that whole scene, that it's shot so badly too. It's
you
like
can tell it was tacked on.
Yeah, it was. They probably
they were
shot
probably
it in like a day.
They were probably like, "Wait, how does it make sense that guy did the surgery?" And told them about it. They were like, "Fuck, we have to film it." That's my guess.
I'm glad they wrapped it up because I was thinking that at the end.
I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, "Wait a second, what about that guy?"
Yeah, so that guy just had makeup scar on his.
I was thinking that maybe because remember it's her father that came up with the thing, that he went to him, but now that he's passed, he's like, "Oh, the daughter's taking it on."
Oh yeah.
But then he was just in on the scam.
Yeah, like the beginning guy legitimately got healed.
Yeah,
by her father before he died. Yeah, I was thinking that too.
But
should have been nice because that would have
evil.
Like added more nuance to it, rather than just everyone is an asshole.
Yeah. Everyone. The thing is, they made everyone more evil than John Kramer.
Yeah, that was like
because the lady's like, "There's a kid, let's kill him," even though it doesn't matter if the kid lives or dies. He had no clue what was going on.
That was really, really over the top. That was my main issue with it, where it's like, I'm fine with following an unlikable protagonist, I guess, but the other people around him have to be at least likable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it goes back to even like slasher movies. Like obviously the villain is horrible; he's murdering people, but you can still relate to the people he's killing for the most part.
Yeah, like the final girl and all that.
Yeah. Like Laurie Strode, and like I just felt like I did not care about any of the people and whether they lived or died.
Yeah, because they were all awful.
Yeah, but it's okay. That's fine, I guess. But then but I care about John Kramer. Oh wait, I don't. So then there's like nothing to care about in any of this.
It's very confusing.
It is.
It kind of follows the I think kind of like a gripe we had with Halloween. We realized that Michael Myers, they were just like, "Oh, if Michael's in the movie, it will be good." But we don't really need much logic behind it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of Saw's solution with John Kramer, because they realized that in the ones after 3, they're like, "Fuck, we do not have a good Tobin Bell replacement. Let's just have him in all the flashbacks. So half of the movie is just in the past with him alive."
Yeah.
So that's their issue. And I honestly, I know it's not done well, but I was happy just to see a full John Kramer performance.
No, I'm not mad at all that it was like a full movie.
I think we talked a little bit after, it might have just been me and Patrick, about how we would have loved to see a Saw movie that actually shows him setting up all the traps. just logistically, how he gets everything.
The logistics of it?
Yeah. Like, who's a supplier? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
What does he get from Home Depot? You know, is he there every week? They're like, "Oh, you're getting a lot of metal bars again."
He knows people who can get him that stuff from his engineering.
I mean, yeah, that's obviously, the thing that like makes sense. But I would just love to see the mundaneness of him like setting up the traps and like testing them. and stuff like that.
It's very similar to the Riddler in the Arkham games.
Yeah,
Where like the whole time you're like, okay, this is fun and everything, but Riddler really went around and set up
did all this. Yeah,
shit.
we were actually talking about that last night of John Kramer being inspired by the Riddler. And like someone like waking up with like one of the Riddler trophies in front of them.
Oh my god.
And then the second they grab it, the pin pulls and the TV turns on with Billy. And he's just like, you just found one of many Jigsaw trophies. Throughout this meat packaging plant, I have hidden 328 more. Let the games begin.
That would be so awesome.
Yeah. They have to run around. And they only have like 6 hours or something.
Oh my god.
They have to solve all these little puzzles that vary in difficulty.
Yeah, you have to get all these different little gadgets to like solve some of them.
You have to get like basically the Batman utility belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
To get this trophy, you need to zipline over that bar. While in midair, you use the remote control batarang. Go through the tubes and hit the mark. A door will open. You have 5 seconds. You need to land, dash, slide under, grab the trophy. The door will open. Just something like only Batman could do.
Yeah, exactly. I love your Jigsaw impression. It's so freaking funny.
Thank you. I've been working on it.
Yeah, it's really good.
We need to just come up with random Jigsaw scenarios.
We do. And make our own Saw fan film.
Make our own Saw fan film.
Whoa.
It's called Saw Jig.
Saw Jig.
It's backwards.
Because we can't use the rights.
Oh, that's true.
So, no, but that's right, because we just switch around the words, then it's okay.
Switch around the words. Saw Jig.
Saw Jig. And that's the guy is called Saw Jig, and he is like an off-color Billy puppet.
Rather than taking off puzzle pieces from their flesh, he puts them on.
Oh.
He brands you with a puzzle piece. Like he indents one into your body.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you survive, then you're like permanently branded by him.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
You have just been captured by Saw Jig, the copyright-free version of... And then it bleeps because he can't say Jigsaw. And instead of
easily create like an AI voice.
Yeah, it's an AI voice.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they do in Spiral. They could say instead of, the puppet on the bike, it's like one of the marionette puppets.
Oh, like Pinocchio or something.
Yeah, and it's like controlled over like some like bumper cars, they have that like electric ceiling. It like moves on that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just make a copyright free Saw.
This is $1 million idea, I think.
So this is very random, and I'm not going to be able to tell you the name of this movie, but I watched this movie. It came out maybe 2010. Mm-hmm. And it was a very interesting concept, but done very poorly. But it was clearly just supposed to be Saw, where basically these people were locked in a room, and they had, I want to say, traps on their head and their neck that would go off, and basically the traps were connected to their what's that called? The receptors on your body for pain.
Oh,
your nerve endings.
Yeah.
So it was like connected to their brain to understand pain response, and in order to get out, they all had to inflict a certain amount of pain on their body.
Oh, okay.
So they're in a room with all these tools and weapons and stuff. And it's a very interesting concept. Just it was executed so bad.
So it's just like a straight up Saw ripoff.
Yeah, it's a straight up Saw.
Okay.
But it's like something that would be like a 5-minute bit in a Saw movie stretched out for an hour and a half.
Oh god.
And I will admit there was some pretty gnarly stuff. Like they used like a cheese grater on them. So it was kind of gnarly. But it just did it. I couldn't even tell you the name of the movie. I just remember it was done by some director. I forgot who that went on to make good movies.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I will find out and tell you later, but for the audience...
It was Jon Favreau.
Yeah, it was Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau's in Chef. He's like, I'm the Jigsaw killer. That's me. I'm a me.
Yeah, he went right from making that to Iron Man. Kind of a weird career switch, but
career jump.
Yeah. One thing I did because I've thought about this a lot. I want to propose my fixed version of this movie.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay, I mentioned it before, but like, I would keep everything about the first third of the movie exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have the cancer people be scammers. You have them be legitimate, actual people who actually fix people's like terminal illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason you would have it take place in between Saw 1 and 2 is that so he's already Jigsaw and he's already like a known serial killer.
Right.
And I don't know, you'd have to come up with something witty that is like above me. Mm-hmm. But like when she like goes to him and he's like, "Oh yeah, we invited you here, John. We're going to heal you tomorrow." And then somehow she would find out that he is Jigsaw.
Right.
And then she would be like, "Oh my God, wow, you are a fucking freak. I'm not going to heal you because you are a serial killer. You don't deserve it. And I'm not medically obligated," because she's not, she's running on her own operation.
Yeah. It's all underground.
They don't have to do anything for him. So she's like, "No, you don't deserve it. There are much better people in the world who deserve to live longer than you that deserve this surgery right now. And I can only do it for so many people."
Times, yeah.
And at first, and it makes John angry. And this is where you would, my idea would be to basically recontextualize all the rest of the Saw films.
Yeah, and you would have to.
Because all of them are like, oh, you're supposed to relate to John for the most part, even if they don't properly execute in a way that you end up doing that. But that's my idea, would be basically then the rest of the movie would play out almost exactly the same, but it's a different dynamic because now all those people are innocent and John is locking them up and putting them in saw traps each, only because they slighted him and they could give him this life-saving procedure, but they won't.
But they won't, yeah. So then he
clearly
goes out.
Yeah, and clearly that is like the most important thing to him, is being able to live longer. As we've seen, he's so bitter about dying when before he's supposed to. And then you could do the thing with Amanda where, because she's just starting to do it, maybe she's not morally there with him yet.
Right. You
could explore something with that.
Her being like, "John, this is like, you're kind of being an asshole right now." Yeah,
exactly. And then the movie would play out almost, then you would care about the people in the traps and you don't want them to die. But then most of them would die anyway because they fail or whatever. And you're like, "Oh my God, we need to save him." And at the same time, you could be hoping that John will stop and like come to his senses. Because the first third of the movie will make you relate to him. Because it does. First third of the movie I thought was great. It really, I related to him and I felt for him, which I was really surprised by.
Yeah. I think it's just Tobin Bell. It's a performance.
Yeah, he's really good, and like the way it's written, like seeing somebody go through the cancer diagnosis and chemo and trying to come to terms with their death. How is that not?
Yeah.
Like just something you pity.
That's just easy empathy.
Yeah, exactly, and it's done so well, and Tobin is so good, and yeah, basically what I would be what would happen. All those people would die. They would fail in the traps. You'd care for them, and like that whole thing. I would have gotten rid of that whole thing where that guy comes in with the gun.
Yeah,
like just don't do that.
Yeah, that was a little much.
That was.
Can you imagine a Saw movie where like more than halfway through the game, Jigsaw realizes like, "Oh shit, I fucked up. I shouldn't have done this," and he has to try to stop the traps that are already in motion.
Yeah, right.
That would have been funny.
So interesting, but that wouldn't happen in my movie.
Here's
would
the
just
thing:
let them all die.
That's not as black and white as the rest of the Saw franchise. You're getting in the gray area.
I know. Well, that's the stuff that I like. I agree. Be like, I wanted it not to be so black and white. And like, the one thing, the whole point of the movie would be, I think it would be really interesting to see someone, because in every Saw movie, all of his victims always play into the trap and try to survive. Right. Yeah. What if the doctor lady, who is the final one of her trap, she just doesn't play the game and she just dies? Because like she does not. She just wants to stand up to John and like show him that
I'm not going to give into this, you asshole.
yeah, like you value your life so much that you would do anything to get it back. And I don't do that. I don't like
I'm going to accept death.
Yeah, I'm going to accept death so I don't have to treat you, you asshole, and fix you, because that's my only way out of this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to die. And then that would be like something that John even can't even comprehend, and it makes him more angry.
And then he ends up killing the only person that can cure cancer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he has to live with that. And then he feels so bad, he just designs a saw trap for himself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was thinking because it could work too, because he seems to get darker and more vindictive in the other Saw movies as it goes along.
Yeah.
So this could be like a fill in the blank reason why that's happening when it wasn't really explained before. So it would be recontextualizing him as like kind of a dick and an asshole who's like so consumed with this problem he has that he'll do anything to, and then it also just makes a good movie. So that's my not fully formed idea.
Here's the thing, Brad. You like good movies. It's a Saw. You gotta embrace schlock. Embrace plot holes.
Yeah.
Because believe me, some of the twists, they just completely retcon. They retcon a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And I like how they just don't acknowledge any of that, and I think they're just kind of starting a new slate here.
I hope so. What I was legitimately thinking that they're setting up at the end, because with the boy, what if they're gonna do something? Yeah, like it time jumps to like after all the Saw movies.
Carlos.
And it's him older, and he's like picking up that mantle because Amanda's dead, so can't do anything with that.
All of the apprentices pretty much die. So there's no one. They need to
Hoffman
introduce.
Is dead?
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. R.I.P. He's the real one.
What about the guy in Chris Rock's movie? Is he still alive?
That was a copycat. So technically, it's not.
Oh, it's not. Jigsaw.
It's not an actual Jigsaw apprentice. He's got his own code.
Gotcha.
But they did leave that movie incredibly open and bleak, just like the others, in hopes of doing another. And no, I don't think anyone liked that movie. I think it's like the worst rated Saw movie. Yeah. Well, is there anything else? You have closing thoughts on Saw X? Because you got into this way more than I thought.
Yeah, no, I was like, because I'm like, when I like watch a movie where I see a different way that it could be like
better,
because not better, but like more like emotionally resonant for me. Because I've learned as I get older, like I don't like to say better because it's
something
not,
that's more up your alley.
Yeah, like
you would enjoy.
Every
more.
person has something they like. I resonate like. I know for one thing, I've read so many comics over the years, and like I relate to those kind of stories for some reason. I can't explain why, but like but you like love horror, and you've grown up with that as well. It's like we just have different sensibilities, and that's fine. So it's like that would be just like my rewrite of that would just be something that would appeal more to me, and I think this is like if you like John Kramer and you like that. The way the earlier Saw movies are where he's more of like a hero sort of this is a good way to tie that back and bring it back to those roots because it's kind of gotten convoluted and like I don't know, complicated over the years with the way
unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah, exactly. So I could definitely see someone loving this movie, and I think it's my favorite Saw film for sure. I can't think of another one that's better. So
I mean, this one might not be my favorite, but it's definitely up there with like the first three. Obviously, the first one's the best. But this one's up there for me.
Yeah, it's good. I would recommend it for sure.
Yeah, I would too. And it's always fun seeing super gory movies in the theater.
Yes.
I feel like gory movies like this don't come out that often.
That's true.
People were comparing it to Terrifier 2 levels of gore, and I'm like, no.
No, it was not any.
At most, the bone marrow trap was like, that one was just like gross, but I thought that was like kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because I imagine that to be like the most painful thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Nothing will top that scene in Terrifier 2 where it's that's so cruel to that one.
The
girl
only way they will ever top that scene is in Terrifier 3. No other movie will ever top that.
Dude, wasn't it surreal seeing that in a movie?
I could
theater?
not believe I was in a public space watching that.
Yeah, right? That was crazy. That was awesome, though. I love that.
Yeah. So, I guess a moral of the story is go see Saw X.
Yeah. I would, if you've seen none of the other movies, I think it will make as long as you have a base knowledge of Saw.
Yeah.
I think
as long as you know the characters. That's all you really need.
Yeah, exactly.
You might even enjoy it more because then you won't know the future entries, so the stakes will be much more there.
Yeah, right.
You know? Like, oh my god, is Sean Kramer gonna die?
Yeah. Oh god, I hated that they did that. Where it was like, I don't care. I know he's not gonna die, so why am I emotionally invested in
That's the biggest problem with prequels.
Yeah, really.
You have that, and then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Rogue One, where here's all your characters, and they are going to die. I don't know which one's worse.
Yeah. The the best prequel of all time is Better Call Saul.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's because you know that Saul survives, but you don't know what happens to Kim.
Yeah.
For one.
Yeah, they introduce so many characters that are likable.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, it's more of a character study than it is like, oh, what happens to whoever, so-and-so, you know?
Well, you've learned it here. Better Call Saul is better than Saw X. Could you imagine Jigsaw getting Saul
Jimmy?
Goodman? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
He's like, Saul Goodman, or should I say, Slippin' Jimmy. You've been slipping your ways through the legal system for too long. Now, you are covered in goo.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I'm trying something that would make him slippery.
Oh my god, because it's ironic.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty good.
Jigsaw always, it's always something that they've done is related. Like Spiral was like, you lied on the stand, so now, in order to free yourself, you must free your tongue, which is a weapon that destroyed so many lives.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so he always does something like that. So he'd be like, you are covered in lubricant. If you are unable to remove the chains on your arms and legs, this contraption, he's just making it up on the spot. He recorded this before he figured it out. It's like, this contraption will push you down the slide. And in the slide is a bunch of very sharp paper. You know how have paper cuts all over your body. And a vat of lemon juice will fall on your head.
God. I need to see this now.
Yeah. That's the Better Call Saul alternative ending.
He always says that when he was a kid, he shat in like someone's car.
Oh yeah,
like through their like sunroof or something.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that was Jigsaw's car.
Oh. You defecated all over the backseat of my car. You've also been defecating over the legal system that you hold so dear. I have now placed you in a car. In 20 seconds, the car will fill with feces. That feces is mine. Collected over the course of 2 years. And a septic tank filled to the brim.
Oh my god. This is too good. You have such a good Saw impression that makes it so much fun.
Hey, I've just watched so many of these.
You got it down.
That I got it down.
For real though, I need like a you know how they have like alternate voices for GPS apps sometimes?
Oh, a Jigsaw voice?
That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
I love his voice.
Turn left here. Or you can go straight and turn left at the next light. Make your choice. That'd be awesome. All right. Now that we've derailed like normal, I'm gonna end it here. So, go see Saw X while it's in theaters. If you're a glutton for punishment, watch them all. You know.
Yeah. Just do it.
And if not, all you really need to see is, I would say, the first one. If you want to know Amanda's character, you can watch the second. Other than that, you really don't need much else, which is very refreshing. Like nowadays, where in order to watch a movie, you have to watch like 2 shows, 3 movies, a short that was uploaded to YouTube.
Oh God, yeah.
So this one's very straightforward, and it's really, I think, just a fine movie. You can follow along. It's not that hard. But yeah, I guess Saw X moral of the story is it's a very refreshing starting point for Saw. And I hope they do more. I feel like they will. I just don't know how much more Tobin Bell has in him.
Yeah, he looked really old in this movie.
He looked very old.
Yeah.
And they did not de-age him or Amanda, which I appreciated.
Oh my God, yeah, that would have been horrible if they tried that.
They just gave him a backwards cap the whole movie.
I would have loved that, unironically.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. They actually did that in the Chris Rock one, in a flashback for Chris Rock when he was like just joined the force. They gave him the backwards cap.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That has to be a meme.
It has to be a
doing
joke.
that on purpose.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
So, go see Saw. That's a review. Yeah. Follow us on Instagram. If you're listening on YouTube, check us out on Spotify. If you're on Spotify, watch us on YouTube, where we have various other videos. Maybe one day I'll convince you, Brad, and we'll do the entire Saw franchise.
I know what, at this point, I would do it.
Yeah.
After watching this one, I legitimately want to watch the other ones because I just like analyzing that.
I think I'm gonna rewatch 2 tonight.
Are you
I was
really?
thinking about it. Yeah.
Nice.
So go see Saw. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.